and original programme concept. Terry Gilliam's career as a film director has been equally provocative and original, with films like Monty Python and the Holy Grail, Jabberwocky, Time Bandits and Brazil, and now his latest, The Adventures of Baron Munchausen. Terry, I've got the reviews here. You've done the rounds on the programmes lately, but the one thing we haven't heard you cover is the reviews, because of course the film opened in London on Friday. We've got here, he succeeds. This is from Ian Johnson in the Times. He
very intelligent, sensitive man, Ian Johnson.
This is a firework display of a film, constantly exploding with a vaulting visual image. Then we've got, who have we got here? Philip French.
Who?
Philip French.
Never heard of him.
Just a minute. Disappointing, though impressively designed.
Who? Is that Philip French describing himself?
Not much of a story here, just a succession of trips up cul-de-sacs.
Some people just don't have imagination.
Good heavens.
This is the very point we're trying to get across in the film. Some have it, some don't. Those that aren't totally brain dead, this is a film for them.
So how important are critics to you at the end of the day?
It's nice when you get good reviews, there's no question about it. I've gotten thicker skinned as I've gotten older, because it actually is quite painful when you've spent, like in this case, 4 years doing a film, spending all this money, other people's money, and everybody working incredibly hard, and somebody writes in a few sentences, a lot of old rubbish, goodbye, don't bother seeing it.
But does it actually affect box office in the end?
I don't know. I still think ultimately word of mouth is the best thing. People telling their friends, saying, oh, you got to see this, I saw this. That's still the best thing. One still has to do, like, you know, coming on to shows all over the country, trying to get people's attention. That's still the hardest thing, because there's so many other things out there available for people to see. You've got to go around like a traveling salesman saying, come and see my film, hitting the drum, blowing trumpets. And that's part of the process. But ultimately, it's down to people telling their mates, I think.
Well, let's have a look at a clip. This is where John Neville, as Baron Munchausen, looks as though he's found a cheaper method of air travel. Incredible effect there.
Thank you.
I mean, you're pretty known for your effects, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, we went out of our way to try to make a truly spectacular film, because I haven't seen too many around recently, and I really wanted to do something that was, in a sense, what Walt Disney used to do with full-length animated features, only we want to do it with real people and real things. So when you jump on a cannonball, you jump on a cannonball. It's actually, we've taken the bomb out of the plane. We just ride the bomb this time.
Incredible cost, though, as well. I mean, you went in at 23.5 million, and then you went over budget to 40 million.
Somebody did this.
Where does
Nothing to do with me.
Where does 16 million come from? What do you spend it on?
Thank God there are insurance companies in this world. And occasionally, we don't just pay them money. Occasionally, we get to get some of it back. So I like to think of this as redistributing the wealth a bit. And the money at least went on people who are artists and actors and painters. It was a very bizarre situation. We went to Rome, and the producer promised us all sorts of things. He did a budget that was, in fact, much cheaper than you could actually make the film for. We only discovered this too late when we were actually in the film. And an insurance company, which is the way you make independent films, you have to ensure that the film will be completed. They had to pay the extra. This doesn't happen very often, but occasionally they get it wrong.
Not again, I'll wager. You've got quite an international cast. Jonathan Pryce, John Neville, Oliver Reed, Alison Steadman. Now, you lost Sean Connery. Where did he go then? Well,
there was a certain point in the film when we ran out of money. It was about 6 weeks in, and we had about 12 weeks to go. We discovered there was no money in the bank anymore. And so there was certain pressure on me to cut sequences down. And the moon sequence, which originally involved 2,000 people with detachable heads, was cut down to 2 people with detachable heads. And where we demanded a lot of majesty in the king in this big special Cecil B. DeMille sequence, we didn't need that in the small economy version. And Sean wasn't right. He didn't think he was right. I didn't think he was right. And so we said farewell and instead got Robin Williams,
who didn't go in under his own name.
No, he's known as Ray DiTuto in this film.
Why didn't he go in under his own name, then?
Because his managers were worried that we were trying to salvage the sinking ship with
Thought it would flop,
Robin.
Then. Nobody will recognise me if I change my name.
Yeah, I mean, people do live in little blinkered worlds, don't they? And a contract is a contract at the end, because he's seen the film, they've all seen the film, they think it's wonderful, and they're, in fact, quite wistful that his name isn't on the film now, but...
You also ran into some casting problems when you were trying to cast the part of the little girl, didn't you?
Oh, yes. Yes, we started in England and tried to cast this part. This is a story that requires a bit of building up. And I've got a company called Poo Poo Pictures.
Of course you have.
Of course. Which is a film company, and I really named it that because I thought it was wonderful, with lawyers and accountants sitting around, very serious people having to talk about poo-poo pictures. And so I've got this letterhead with that written on it. Now, we wrote to all the sort of casting in the acting schools around the country, saying any little girl who would like to, you know, ride on a cannonball, go to the moon, fall into a volcano, be eaten by a sea monster, please contact us. And my secretary signed it Margarita. So the whole thing, in the minds of certain Vice Squad officers, smelled child pornography, and they raided us.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's have a look at Sarah Polley, the young actress you chose to play the part of Sally Salt in what looks like rather deep water.
Where are we?
Do you dream all this?
I used to dream all that now. Now it goes directly from my brain onto film. I don't waste time dreaming anymore.
All right. Well, Eric Idle said he'll never work with you again.
Oh, he just says that to the press. He was really delighted to be in this film. It was his first chance to be a proper actor. It was also his first chance to get a proper haircut, too. We actually shaved everybody's head, all the main characters, because they had to go from young to old. And rather than wearing awful bald caps, which always rock up in the heat, we shaved all of their heads at the start of the film.
Nice. Well, who's it aimed at, this? Because it is PG.
At Eric Idle, basically.
The whole film?
Yeah, the whole thing. I mean, $40 million, just trying to get the attention of one guy. That was our theory. And no, I actually went, it's that terrible thing of actually going for everybody. It doesn't matter how old you are. I think it has to do with whether you're still imaginative. People used to say, you know, from kids from 8 to 80. Well, that's what this film really is. And so far, it seems to be working, because we just opened in London, and what's clear is that kids are coming. All sorts of people are coming. And I'm tired of films being aimed at very specific markets, you know, teenagers, adults. I want one that everybody can go together and hopefully find something worthwhile in the film.
So what next? How do you follow that, if anybody lets you, after all that money you've spent?
I can't believe it, but they're giving me even more money on the next one.
Which is?
It's called Watchmen. It's based on a comic book. It was written by 2 Brits, and is a huge success in America and England.
Great. Well, let's hope it's a huge success over here. Ladies and gentlemen, Terry Gilliam.